Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are cracking the code on something absolutely essential for speaking German: how you connect your ideas. Seriously, getting this right is the key to sounding less like you're reading from a book and more like a real person. So, you've probably got the hang of basic sentences, right? I drink tea. You like coffee. That's awesome. But the real magic, the thing that really levels up your German, is when you start weaving those simple thoughts together into more complex ones. And here's the best part. It sounds complicated, but it's not. In German, there are basically just two main groups. Let's call them two gangs of connecting words. And each gang has just one simple rule. That's it. If you can remember two rules, you can master German sentence flow. Okay, let's dive into the first group. We'll start with the friendly gang. These are the guys who don't like to cause any trouble. They keep things simple. Now, their official name is coordinating conjunctions, but what you really need to know is that they don't mess with your word order at all. Think of them as sitting in position 0. It's like they're invisible to the grammar. They're there, but they don't take up a spot, so everything after them stays exactly how you learned it. And here's the whole crew. Und, oder, aber, denn, and sondern. That's it. These 5 words are your new best friends for building sentences the easy way. They just connect two ideas, and they never, ever change the word order. Let's see it in action. You've got I eat pizza and you eat burger. You just pop und in the middle. Now look closely at that second part. Du isst Burger. Subject, du, then the verb, isst. It's perfectly normal word order. Nothing changed. And it's the exact same deal with aber for but. Ich mag Kaffee, aber ich trinke Tee. Right after aber, what do we have? The subject, ich, and then the verb, trinke. They're right where you'd expect them to be. See, I told you this gang was easy. All right, let's move on to our second group. Now this gang, they're a bit more powerful. They've got a little attitude and they like to change things up. But the good news is they only have one rule. And they are very, very consistent about it. And this right here is the golden rule. When you use a word from this gang, it literally finds the action word, the verb, in its part of the sentence, and it kicks it all the way to the very end. So here are a few of the most common members. Weil, for because, obwohl, for although, then, for when or if. It doesn't matter which one you use. Their job is always the same. Find that verb and kick it to the back of the line. And the process is like a simple 4-step recipe. First, you say your main idea. Second, you add your verb kicker word. Third, you write the rest of the second idea without the verb. And then, for the grand finale, you drop that verb at the very end. Let's look at an example. I drink tea and I like tea. The verb in that second part is mag. Now watch what happens when we use weil. Mag gets booted from its normal spot and sent all the way to the end. Ich trinke Tee, weil ich Tee mag. And this pattern is incredibly consistent. It works the same way for obwohl. Ich trinke Tee, obwohl ich Kaffee mag. Again, the verb mag gets kicked right to the final position. Once you see this pattern, you really can't unsee it. So you might be thinking, what happens if you have two verbs, like I can play? Well, the rule still applies. It's the verb that's actually conjugated, the helper verb like can or must, that's the one that gets kicked to the end. So it becomes weil ich Cricket spielen kann. Okay, you know the two gangs, you know their rules. Now, if you want to add some real flair to your German, let's learn a pro-level move. We're going to flip the whole sentence around. So you don't always have to start with the main idea. You can start with the verb kicker part to emphasize it. But, and this is a big but, watch what happens. As soon as that first part ends with its kicked verb, mag, the verb of the main sentence, trinke, has to jump to the front, right after the comma. So here's the rule. Think of that whole first chunk, weil ich Tee mag, as one giant piece taking up position 1. And what always has to be in position 2 in a German statement? The verb. So the main verb has no choice but to jump right in front of its subject. Knowing the rules is one thing, but avoiding the common pitfalls is another. So let's quickly go over the most common mistakes people make so you can just sidestep them completely. Okay, here are the three big ones. First, just forgetting to kick the verb with words like weil. Second, getting mixed up and kicking the verb when you're using the easy gang, like with und. And third, when you do that pro move, forgetting to flip the main verb after the comma. Maybe pause here and just let these really sink in. All right, enough talk, your turn. Let's do a quick practice. How would you connect I'm going home and it is late using the verb kicker weil? Think about that verb in the second sentence, ist. Where's it going to end up? Okay, let's try one more. He buys a new car and he has no money. Connect them with obwohl, which means although. It's another verb kicker. So what's going to happen to the verb hat? And here are the answers. Check your work. For number 1, weil kicks ist to the end. For number 3, obwohl kicks hat to the end. But look at number 2. We used oder from the easy gang, so the word order wir können is totally normal. It all comes down to knowing which gang your word belongs to. And that's really all there is to it. The two gangs of German conjunctions, each with their own simple, unbreakable rule, you have now unlocked a massive piece of German grammar that will let you express way more interesting ideas. The only question is, what are you going to say first?